Hey, family. Everybody doing all right today? Come on in the room. Come on in the room. You doing all right? Hey, Mom. How goes it? Come on in, family. Let me know when you come in. I'm kind of excited about this conversation. I have literally been in a mindset study for a couple weeks. So I'm really excited about the conversation that we are going to have today. I'm going to give you guys a few moments to come in so that we can get started. I see y'all rolling in. Let me know who you are. Let me know who you are. Let me know who you are when you come in. We're going to get started in just a second. In just a second. Everybody's having a good day? Y'all doing all right? Hey. Let me see. We are about to get started. What's up, fam? I hope everybody is having an amazing Friday. Today's Friday, right? We're at the end of the week. We are gonna, oh yes, I am doing well, Brittany, thank you so much. I am so excited about what we're going to talk about today because so often, we find ourselves trying to conquer challenges and things of that nature, but we don't know how to manage our mind. And if you don't know how to manage your mind, it will literally get the best of you. And while you out here conquering all these things in life, your mind ran off on you. So something that I have been, that the Lord has really been impressing up on me, especially as I'm going through pivot, as Apostle has been talking about, been in the pivot, been shifting gears and changing things. But the Lord has been dealing with me about making sure that I manage my mind, making sure that I don't allow my mind to just run haywire. What's up, BJ? How are you? Just don't allow my mind to run haywire. And if it's one of those things, our mind, if we're not intentional about the activity of the mind, it is very, very possible. What's going on? It is very, very possible that you will be in a place that is good. The environment is good, but on the internally, you'll have this disconnect. And one of the main things I know for a fact that I realize that as I elevate, and as, I ascend and go to higher heights and stretch my limits within myself, if I don't take my mind with me, then I understand that there is always going to be this war going on. What's up, cousin? How are you? There's always going to be this war going on because we're not taught to bring your mind along. We're not taught to be conscious enough so that you are forward thinking, even in your downtime. It's not often that we can always manage our unconscious mind, and I'm going to get into that actually here in a little bit. It's not always that we can manage our unconscious mind, but because your unconscious mind is like a memory bank, if we're not careful, our mind will only remember the stuff that we went through. So as we embark upon new things in life, as we try to stretch our limitations and go beyond what it is that we're accustomed to, we will often find this friction, or we will find this internal battle because you've not allowed your mind, you've not given your mind the work that it needs. You've not given your mind the intentionality that's required in order for it to catch up with what it is that you're doing. So one of the main things I'm here is to teach you how to keep your mind intact as you're going through life, as you're thriving through life, right? Life has its challenges. it yields its own challenges. Outside of us, life will yield its own challenges. So it's one of those things, if with life's challenges, if you don't have a comfortable regimen or an effective regimen on how you manage your mindset, I can guarantee that there's an internal battle going on when the lights go off, or an internal battle going on in your private time. Why? Because your mind is only remembering what is done in the past. So I can tell everybody, it does not matter. If you go to do something different, there's always going to be a moment of internal friction, whether that means you can conquer that, meaning you already have the tools and know what it takes in order to get your mind on a bandwagon. But most of us don't know. We just know how to change our actions. We don't know how to bring our mind in alignment with the change that's taking place externally and some things that's internally with us. And if we don't train the mind to come along with us, your mind will literally be left out. So I'm not probably going to make it through the whole document, but I have this 5-page document, and I'm just going to go through what the Lord gives me to go through. But one of the main things we're talking about today, and if anybody was scribe, I'm going to try to speak as many principles as I possibly can, because what I've learned is we have to live by principle and not by emotion. And if you live a principle-driven life, if you live your life based off principle, it also teaches you how to have discipline. And if anybody know me, they know that discipline is my word, right? Discipline is my word, and mindset work is something that I absolutely take great pride in, is working on my mind, because I know my mind. I know how my mind ended me up in suicide. I know how my mind fought against every elevation, every change that I've ever, conquered, every change that I've ever thrived through, everything that I've ever done that was new, my mind had an issue with it. Every time that I tried to challenge myself and go beyond what I was comfortable with and go beyond what was limiting me, my mind had a problem with that shift. My mind had a problem with that change. Why? Because your mind goes into this protective mode when you're going to do something different, because it thinks that something is out to harm you, because it's alarmed that something different is happening. So if we're not careful, we will, find ourselves in this internal battle that's not even required. It's just, we just got to make sure that we understand how to manage our mind so that we can thrive and our mind not be another issue, because life offers its own challenges, right? Who wants to have their mind as another challenge when life already offers its challenges? So the first thing that we want to talk about is, what is your mindset? Your mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you see yourself and the world. That's simple. Your mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you see yourself and the world. How you see yourself and the world. Our mindset is critical to how we behave, perform, and thrive. Your mindset, right? Your mindset, your set of beliefs in your mind is critical to how you behave, perform, and thrive. And I'm going to take a minute. I'm trying not to move too fast through this, because I understand that, it's a lot of information. But I think it's such great information, because once we master how to manage our mind, literally the limitations in our life come off. Once you learn how to conquer this, whatever limitations that's placed around you, you have to understand you're limited because of your mind. Any limitations you have is because your mind has limited you. So when you learn how to manage your mind and bring your mind along with you as you pivot through life, right? As you ascend through life, as you transition through life, when you learn how to bring your mind along with you, it makes for a more smoother transition, and it allows you to embrace where it is that you're going, right? Our mindset comprises of beliefs and attitudes that determine how we see ourselves, other people in the world. This is just me reiterating what I've already said. Your mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you see yourself and the world. Our mindset is shaped by different factors, right? It's including our culture, our upbringing, our experiences, and our education, what you've been exposed to, right? Your mindset, the way you think right now, right? The conglomerate of how your thoughts come together is based off of the culture you were raised in. It's based off of the experiences you've had. It's based off of your education experiences or the lack thereof. Excuse me. And it's as well as based off of your upbringing, how you were raised, and the environment in which you were raised in. So often I learned that as I, got grown and on my own, so much of how I thought was literally because that was the environment that I was in. And what I later understood was, in order for me to thrive outside of my environment, I had to change how my mind operated. But if we never get to the point where we change how our mind operates, you're going to take that old mindset into these new environments that you're invited into these new arenas that you're invited into. And it's going to sabotage, whether it sabotages you internally or it gets to the point where it comes out externally and sabotages where you are, because your mind is trying to figure out why we got to do something different. How many of you know that whenever you decide to do something different physically, you have to bring your mindset along with you? That's often not taught to us. Hey, family, hello to everybody that I have not spoken to. I hope everybody is doing well today. So I want you to think of your mind, excuse me, think of your mind as a computer, right? I want you to imagine you have a computer in your head that controls everything that you do, right? Your brain is the hardware. So let's just say this water bottle is your brain. It's the hardware. So it's the actual, if you look at a computer, it's the actual computer itself. Not the information that comes out of the computer, but the actual computer itself. Your brain is hardware, right? Your mind is software. So the water inside of this bottle would be the software or the mind that is inside of your brain, right? So you have this hardware, you have this computer, you have this, this brain, or you have this hardware device, and then on the inside you have the system that literally, as you type or as you search, it calculates what it is that you need and give you answers. That's your mind, right? So if you think, your mind is constantly processing information and your thoughts are generated by your mind. Common sense, huh? That's probably common sense. Your thoughts, right? So you have your mind is always processing like a computer. When you press enter, it generates. Your mind is always processing. Your thoughts are generated. So the processing that it does, it processes thoughts. And of course, those thoughts are generated through your mind. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm just trying to tell you how your mind works. Because when you understand how your mind works, you will understand how to conquer it. And I think the enemy wants nothing more than for us to be stuck in the mindset that stops us from expanding, that stops us from doing something different, that stops us from getting to a place that's outside of what we've always known and what we've always been comfortable with. Your biggest limitation, if you're trying to get out of something, I promise your biggest limitation is the perspective of how you see a thing, which is your mind. It always boils back down to your mind. The data we gather affects our mindset. Think about that. The thoughts that arise in your head, it affects your mindset. It affects how you see. So the moment a thought come up in my mind, it literally affects how I see what's in my presence. So whether that's a good effect or it's a bad effect, that part is up to me. Right? Okay? Our thoughts influence our actions. Let me back. The data we gather affects our mindsets, which determines the nature and quality of our thoughts. I know it's a lot of principal points. The data we gather affects our mindset, which determines the nature and quality of our thoughts. Right? From that point, Your thoughts then influence your actions. So I'm sitting here minding my business, right? A thought come up in my head that's not so pleasant. Let's see. You can't do this, or you don't have what it takes to do this. And I choose to entertain that thought. And the moment I choose to entertain the fact that I don't have what it takes to do this, my actions then begin to show those around me that I don't have what it takes to do this. Why? Because that's the thought that I chose to entertain. And because I chose to entertain it, whether I choose to consciously or unconsciously, my actions are then going to line up with the thought that I entertained in my mind. Am I making sense? Y'all talk back to me real quick. I just want to know that I'm making some sense, that is registering in your mind. Shantae, what's up, Shalonda? It's good to see you on. All right. So now that we have experienced certain things, our mind has a new load of information to process which thoughts develop. So here's what I'm saying, right? So you have these actions, kind of like what I was saying. You're sitting down minding your business, and these thoughts come in your head, right? And then you decide to entertain the most negative thoughts that arise. As you entertain these thoughts, these a new set of beliefs come in your mind. Why? Because your mind don't know wrong from right. Your mind just know memory. So as these memory or these thoughts come in your head, and this is what you choose to believe, and then it aligns with memory. So perhaps memory was, somebody talking down on you, somebody rejecting you, or something that led up to the point that proves this thought that I'm having in my head, right? And because I'm entertaining this thought that arose, that came up in my head, because I'm entertaining this thought, now things are beginning to look for me that lines up with this thought. And now I'm attracting stuff that I really don't desire, all because I'm entertaining the thought. Watch the thoughts that you choose to entertain, right? Watch the thought that you choose to entertain. I want to go ahead and talk about the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. I kind of touched on it a little bit on Tuesday on our live, but your conscious mind, scientists believe that your conscious mind makes up less than 10% of the mind's total operational power, right? So your conscious mind is responsible for enabling you to respond instead of react. So your conscious mind, right? It enables you to respond as opposed to react. I don't know if y'all know anything about responding. You respond when you take a moment, you sit back and you think, even though they may have had you messed up, right? When you react, you respond based off the situation, right? When you I don't want to use that word. When you react, you basically dialogue based off the situation. When you respond, you dialogue based off the perspective that you are supposed to see as it relates to the situation, because you're giving yourself time to slow down and think. Right? Your conscious mind helps you find patterns and make comparisons. Your conscious mind helps you make decisions and give orders. Your conscious mind is in control of your short-term memory. It's in control of your short-term memory. When something is in your conscious mind, it's deliberate and you're aware of it. Means basically you use intentionality. What I'm doing with you right now, the way that I'm able to speaking to you about something very specific, honed in, that is me showing you that I'm using my conscious mind, because I also have a plethora of thoughts that I could choose to entertain in this moment, and I will forget everything that my conscious mind is trying to deliver. Does that make sense? In this very moment, I have the ability to stop talking to you about what I'm talking to you about and entertain a thought that tells me perhaps you shouldn't be on live right now. And if I entertain that thought, what you guys will see from me will reflect the fact that something just rose up in me and told me not to entertain or not to be here right now. And then my actions will begin to show it. The intimidation or the frustration or all of that stuff begin to show up because I chose to entertain that thought. That makes sense? So your conscious mind is 10% of your entire brain. of your entire mind. It's just 10% of the operational part, right? Now, your unconscious mind is the other 90% of your software. One moment. So me being conscious right now and talking to you with intentionality is literally only 10% of my mind being used. There is 90% of my mind doing what it want to do right now in this moment. And I have the ability to choose whether I will control or choose, I have the ability to choose whether I will entertain what's going on in that 90% or whether I choose to stay present in my 10%. It does not require intentionality to be driven by your unconscious mind. That's 90% of your brain. You don't need to try to make yourself discouraged, right? You can sit there long enough and discouragement will roll up on you. You don't have to be, you don't have to try to make yourself insecure. You can sit there long enough and not like the way you look or something, or have an issue with your appearance. So what am I saying? I'm saying you don't have to do anything intentional in order for negative to arise. Why? Because when we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity, we were programmed for what's wrong. Sin did that to us, right? The fall of man programmed us to move in the direction of what's negative. So right now I can put up, I can be on live having a mindset conversation and somebody else can go do a live and it be a banter back and forth between two people and they'll have the majority on their live. Why? Because our natural nature is programmed to go for trauma. It's programmed to go for something, that causes friction or that causes discomfort or something, that belittles or something that is not productive. We're naturally programmed like that. Did y'all know that? We are naturally programmed not to see the best. That's what being born in sin and shaped in iniquity is, right? We're programmed to see the mess up. But if you understand, that your unconscious mind is literally just operating off of memory, then you will understand that a lot of the stuff that come up, because you ever just be sitting there and a random thought come up in your head, you'd be like, what in the world? Why would that even come up? Because your unconscious mind is trying to take you back to something familiar. Why? Because your unconscious mind is where your emotions sit. Your emotions sit in your unconscious mind, which is why you can be happy 1 minute and then the next minute you got a complete attitude. And then when you go down to trying to think about how you ended up with the attitude, you can't quite figure it out because there's 90% of your mind that's doing its own thing. And because you've not used intentionality as it relates to that 10% of your conscious mind, that 90% just sets you up for something. What am I saying? Your mindset requires you to be intentional. Now, we cannot be intentional 100% of the time about our, as it relates to our mind. That means while we're watching a movie or while I'm on this live or while you're doing something, that means it requires you to literally just sit there and think about your thoughts. No, we can't do that. But what I am saying, when you find yourself, when you notice that you are spiraling, or when you notice that you are headed into a dark space, or when you notice that you are, you're on your way to something that you're going into a spot that you can't quite get out of, it's because you've allowed your unconscious mind to attach itself to the dominant aspects of who you are in that moment, and what you're delivering is coming from the part that you ain't taking control over. So what am I saying? Your unconscious mind is immensely powerful. It is so powerful. It's 90% of the full operation in here. It's so powerful. Right? Your unconscious mind, it runs most of the workings in our body, right? And you use your unconscious mind to breathe, to digest, to sleep, to keep your heart pumping, temperature control, all of that stuff comes through your unconscious mind, right? I don't have to say inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. No, that's my unconscious mind is doing that for me. Praise the Lord, right? Because if we had to do that, I'm sure a lot of us would mess up if we had to do that. And okay, so also this is one of when I was doing my research, this right here really, really blessed me. Because it says that your unconscious mind tries to protect you by maintaining the status quo, which is why you sometimes feel uncomfortable when you're trying to make a change. I've already touched on this a little bit. When it's time for us to do something different, like I said, I can speak for me. When it was time for me to do something different, my mind went haywire. My mind is like, yo, what you doing? Like, what? We ain't never did this. We don't know nothing about this. This is foreign territory. Abort mission. Don't go there. We're not comfortable there. We don't have any relationship with this place. We don't know. We basically, your unconscious mind is saying, I can't lead you in this because I have no history with this. But what I'm saying to you is you have to allow your conscious mind to tell your unconscious mind, because even though your unconscious mind is 90% of your brain, it listens to everything the conscious mind tells it to do. Your unconscious mind listens to everything your conscious mind tells it to do. Now, if you don't navigate it, though, that's when you get them thoughts that just come out of nowhere. When you learn how to navigate your unconscious mind, it falls prey to your conscious mind. It has to fall in line. But your conscious mind takes over when we choose not to think, when we choose to react instead of taking a moment to respond, right? When we choose to get ahead of ourselves, when we choose not to trust the stretch. Right? Our unconscious mind begin to take over when we go against elevation. When you hear apostles say, you are about to, God is about to elevate you. He's sending you to higher heights and, the new levels and, deeper depths and all of this stuff. When you hear that immediately in your brain, or you say something out loud and you be like, no, I don't think that's for me. Right? Everything in your unconscious mind is going to hold on to that. I don't think that's for me. And every time that elevation is mentioned, every time that ascension is mentioned, every time that change is mentioned, there's going to be even if you choose not to entertain it, there's going to be an alignment of thoughts that rise up in you. Why? Because of the things that you declare in your conscious mind. Right? All right. So let me keep going. Your unconscious mind is where your imagination and your creativity stems from. All this comes from the unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is also where your habits are created and maintained. Your unconscious mind are where your habits are created and maintained. Your unconscious mind, not the intentionality of your mind, but your unconscious mind, the part that you don't have, that 90% is where your creativity and your imagination comes from. Why? Because that's your memory bank. That's your memory bank. I'm saying unconscious. Yeah, that's right. Let's see. Your unconscious mind obeys instructions from your conscious mind. I mentioned that already. Your unconscious mind obeys instruction from your conscious mind. Meaning, if I'm intentional about affirmations, if I'm intentional about speaking positive words to myself, if I'm intentional about staying in the pivot, if I'm intentional about accepting the challenges, right? If I'm intentional about doing the hard thing, my subconscious mind has to come into alignment with what I'm being intentional about. It's making sense? It's making sense? And once again, your unconscious mind causes you to react, and your conscious mind causes you to respond. It causes you to respond. Okay? How many times have you found yourself in a situation and by the time you came out of it, you said, I ain't have to do that. It ain't even have, I took that too far. This ain't, I ain't even have to, it ain't even have to be all that. I can't believe I did. How many times have you found yourself, you looked up, you're in a situation, you be like, it didn't even have to go like that. Why did I do that? Why didn't I take a moment and think? Why didn't I take a moment and calm down before I responded? Or right, that's because you allowed your unconscious mind, because why? That's where your emotions come from, right? So something happens, right? My unconscious mind is working. It's like, girl, this reminds me of when homegirl said that to you. So now I'm boiling from what homegirl said 5 years ago, and I'm responding to Amanda like Amanda is homegirl from 5 years ago, when Amanda ain't even mean no harm. I don't know. I hope ain't no Amanda on here. I'm just talking, right? But that's because I allowed my unconscious mind to go haywire. We have to make sure that we stay in control of our mind. Your unconscious mind stores. It stores. It's like a memory card. It stores and retrieves longer term memories, trauma, abuse, rejection, manipulation, devastation, all of that. Your mind didn't forget that. So let me take a moment. I do want to take a moment to talk to the people that suppresses, right? Because you're having a good, you don't talk, you don't have an outlet. You don't necessarily have an outlet. You don't talk to nobody. You don't trust nobody. Kind of deal, but you suppress everything that you go through. You suppress. Right? And you're going through life and then something else happened, you suppress it. Something else happened, you suppress it. Something else happened, you suppress it. And then you wonder how you get to this day where you explode all of a sudden. You wonder, how did I explode? I was doing good. I called myself navigating this thing correctly. There's a difference in suppression and expression. And when you suppress, think about it, when you suppress and you have an unconscious mind, that is 90% of the operation that goes on in your entire mind, and you keep suppressing, can you imagine what kind of memories come up in your mind when you run into challenges? Can you imagine when life throw its normal curveballs? Because like I said, life is gonna throw its curveballs, right? So can you imagine when the normal curveballs outside of the extra stuff present itself and you don't have enough within you to be sustained because you've not learned how not to suppress who you are, and your unconscious mind had just literally went haywire on you and you can't gather yourself back? Suppression is dangerous. Now that I know how the mind works, because I used to suppress because I didn't want to be a burden on nobody. Or I didn't want nobody to say, oh, here she go with that again. I didn't want to be one of them people. So I have learned to suppress, right? I have learned to present myself in a way that can fix everybody's problems. And if anybody asks me, I'm good. I am absolutely good with all my teeth showing. I'm good. All is well. I don't need nothing. But I got to a point where, you know how you can pack stuff, and I compact it. And then it got to a point where I couldn't push nothing else down. And then as I'm, trying to, grow spiritually, and then, these elevations is coming up on my life, and I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone and do something different and stretch beyond and do, walk a path that I've never walked before, become somebody that I've never been before, embrace something that I've never done before. But there is so much internal friction. I have the intellectual faculties for what it is that I'm trying to do. I have the resources. I have a great support system. I have everything that I need, but there is this battle on the inside of me that is taking place. And I can't quite figure out why, because I have suppressed for the last 20 years. I have suppressed for the last 10, 15 years. So now every time it's time for me to do something different, every time it's time for me to change and shift and become more, my mind is trying to remind me of the trauma. and the rejection and the abuse. And they're trying to say this group of resource people is going to be like the last group of people. So then I bring myself to this halt because my unconscious mind has just basically sold me that the resource group that God set up for me is not the people that's for me. Because why? Your mind don't know right from wrong. Shocked me when I learned it too. Your mind don't know right from wrong. It just know memory. Which is why I kind of spoke on this on Tuesday, which is how people that are in addictions can stay in addictions. Because when you're by yourself and you don't have an accountability partner that you really lean on when it's time for you to be held accountable, integrity. When you choose not to lean on your accountability partner in the most promising times or the most challenging times, it's one of those things. Excuse me. It's one of those things where you absolutely set yourself up for failure. Why? Because your mind. If I go within myself right now and I say, mind, do you want to have a drink? Do you want to go take some shots? My mind is going to tell me yes. Why? Because I've drunk before. Whether my experience with drinking was good or whether my experience with drinking was bad, my mind is going to tell me yes. How do people stay in abusive relationships? Because they choose not to get help. Right. And when you choose not to get help and you're battling this thing within your own mind, your mind is going to always go to what's familiar. So even if it's not good for you, your mind is going to say, stay. Because that's how the mind works. Right. The mind is important. The mind is powerful. It's so powerful. You have to make sure that you manage your mind. And excuse me, there's two kind of mindsets that I want to talk about. And I'm going to end out on this. There's two kind of mindsets that I want to talk about. I want to talk about a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Did you know that your mind it accepts what it's told as truth, regardless of the information? Your mind accepts everything that is told as truth. You've been diagnosed with something. It accepts it as truth. So when you find that battle of trying to separate the truth of God from the facts of reality, right? Because how many know there's the truth and then there's facts. The facts is there is a paper with your name on it that says you have been diagnosed with something. The facts is you are in the middle of a mental turmoil. These are facts. These are all facts, right? But the truth of God trumps facts. But if you don't get control over your mind, because your mind don't know the difference between truth and facts, it's your job to control that. So when your mind hears, you've been diagnosed with this, when your mind hears, in any kind of, any of that, it accepts it as truth. It accepts it as if it came from the voice of God himself. Which is why it's important, to have those affirmations in the morning and to have those affirmations at night. Why? Because the first thing your mind needs to hear in the morning is something that edifies and builds it up. The last thing your mind needs to hear at night is something that edifies and builds it up. Why? Because you've heard so much stuff throughout the day that your mind is trying to differentiate whether this is something that I hold on to or whether this is something that I let go of. And literally your unconscious mind will hold on to what your conscious mind allowed. So if somebody speaks something negative to me and I openly, reject and I openly rebuke, it won't sit in my unconscious mind. Why? Because my conscious mind told it not to be programmed in it. But if you don't openly combat the enemy when he's coming at you, no matter who is coming through, husband, wife, kids, when you don't understand that this is an attack on my mind, This don't have nothing to do with what the person talking about. This is an attack on my sanity. This is an attack on how I'm going to process and think when this conversation over. I'm one of them kind of people. I used to be one of them kind of people that when I fell out with somebody, I was pissed for the rest of the day. I was upset for the rest of the day. And anybody that came in contact with me, you just kind of got a little bit of me being upset, depending on what stage I was and rolling out of that. Why? Because once something happened, my unconscious mind played it over and over. And or don't let me be in a situation when I should have said something that I didn't say. What? When I think about, oh my gosh, I should have said this. I can't believe the Lord held my tongue there. Y'all don't know how many times the Lord has told me to hold my tongue. I did it out of obedience, but I was literally tortured in my mind because I didn't react the way that I was accustomed to reacting. Y'all don't understand the kind of torture. Wanting to slap the crap out of somebody, but literally having to go home and cry myself to sleep because I'm having a mental battle because I feel like this situation ain't resolved. I feel like this situation listen, it didn't yield me the results that I wanted. And I don't have this internal satisfaction. Why? Because my unconscious mind, it didn't get the results that it was looking for. We got to learn how to manage our mindset. And you got to learn how to not be stuck in what your mind tries to paint for you and tell your mind where you're going. There's sometimes, like there's more times than not, you know, when it comes to, I know for me, just this lie. Y'all don't know how bad I listen, right before this lie, I just got out the shower. I was sweating so bad because one, I hate talking in front of people. I absolutely hate talking in front of people. But two, the enemy has always came for my voice. He has always told me that don't nobody want to hear you. Don't nobody want to listen to you. So one of the main things I have been in the process of rehearsing is what God says about me. Because obviously, for me to be sitting here in front of you, this means that there's a call in my life to speak about something. But if I entertain that thought that don't nobody want to hear me, if I entertain that over there, y'all will never see me. I would never come forth. I would never do anything new. I would never, do lives outside of Apostle. Y'all know I ain't doing that. I would never do that because I would have allowed my unconscious mind to take over. So what am I saying? Even though your unconscious mind is 90% of your brain or your mindset, your unconscious mind is 90% of that. Your unconscious mindset is 90% of your operational power in your head. Your 10%, your conscious mind has the ability to control all of that. But you have to lead it. It's not going to be happenstance. But let me go ahead and get into this. You either have a fixed mindset or you have a growth mindset. Now, here's the thing about a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So not everybody have a full fixed mindset, or not everybody have a full growth mindset. Like as it relates to fitness, my mind, my heart, personal development, I absolutely have a growth mindset. I absolutely have. Absolutely. Now, as it relates to some other stuff, it's a little fixed. I'm working on it, though. I'm working on it now that I know what a fixed and a growth mindset is. I'm working on it. But what am I saying? So a fixed mindset means you're stuck in your way of thinking, and anything that challenges that causes you to be defensive or shut down. Fixed mindset means you're stuck in a way of thinking. And anything that challenges that causes you to get defensive or shut down. If you think anything like me, you disappear. Listen, you're gonna disappear. Anything right? So do you have dang it. Look, my sister over here, she be having me out. I want y'all to kind of take that in. A fixed mindset means you're stuck in your ways of thinking and anything that challenges that. So take a moment, just take a brief moment and what has challenged you lately, right? Not saying in a negative way, but what is something that has challenged you lately that you chose? I ain't finna deal with that right now. I don't have time for that. My life, here's one of my favorites that I hear all the time. My life don't allow me to do that right now. I don't have the luxury of letting my guards down and being vulnerable and not being defensive and doing something different and stretching my capacity. Right? That's fixed mindset. A growth mindset means you focus the energy of your challenges on learning and taking action. Growth mindset means you focus the energy of your challenges on learning and taking action. Growth mindset. Say it again. It means you focus it means you focus the energy of your challenges on learning and taking action. Right? So take a moment, and if you know that when challenges come, you try to navigate it in a way that gets you on the other side of it instead of opt you out of it, you know you have a growth mindset. If you ask yourself questions like, how can I improve? How can I improve? Excuse me. Help me identify. How can I identify the place that I'm in? What can I do to avoid being back in this place? Those are the kind of questions that you ask yourself and or God and others when you have a growth mindset, meaning you're trying to grow beyond the capacity of what your mind is already. I ask a lot of questions. Apostle will tell you this. I ask a lot of questions, especially as it relates to the mind, because I just want to know how to not be in this place again. I'm okay with experiencing challenges because because the way that my mind works now, I know that I will be in the challenge looking for how to extract what I'm supposed to learn, as opposed to being in the challenge trying to get out of it because it does not fit the comfort of my mindset. We have to learn how to manage our mind. Right? A fixed mindset does not leave room for growth and expansion to take place in you or around you. Why? Because, in you that's of course, that is one of those things where if you don't allow growth to take place in you, when you go in rooms that you're called to go in, you'll be intimidated by the people that's sitting at the table that's for you. If you don't allow the growth mindset to sit in on you, you won't be able to expand and be amongst others who are possibly more successful than you, which is rooms that I desire to be in, right? But if you don't deal with your mindset, your unconscious mind is going to bring back all of the times you got rejected. Can y'all hear me? I literally just got booted all the way out off the screen. Yeah. Y'all hear me? Am I still here? Literally. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what it is about when I talk. Every time I talk, something happens to this thing. It literally just blacked out the whole screen, and I had to turn the iPad back on. I don't know. And the enemy knows I lose my train of thought very quickly. So I don't even know what I'm saying. All that to say. But I want to give you a couple things to help you identify whether you have a fixed mindset. And if you can identify if you have, the areas that you have a fixed mindset in, it'll be easier to make that, it'll be less challenging rather to make that transition to a growth mindset. And this is how I know that it is a process. One, because I'm in it. Two, it's a process because your unconscious mind is literally a memory bank. You have to go, you're literally you're replacing unhealthy unconscious thoughts with healthy unconscious thoughts. So that when your unconscious thoughts, so that when your unconscious thoughts start doing this thing like it always do, I think we think like a billion thoughts a minute or something like that. Like we literally have so many thoughts that we have the ability to entertain. But if we don't program in our mind the kind of unconscious thoughts that we want to sit back there, which is why they say read scripture, right? Meditate on scripture. Figure out, get around people that edify you. Don't be in negative environments. Why? Because all of the stuff, all of your experiences, everything that you come in contact with, it sits in your unconscious mind, and it looks for an opportunity to come back up. So whether that is to come back up to defend you, whether it's to come back up, to offend someone else, you want to make sure that what's in here is something that fuels you. And if it's not something that's coming forth to fuel you, you have the power to identify that that's what it is, and you can cast it down. Right? So the one way to identify, if you have a fixed mindset, you feel the need to constantly prove yourself. You feel the need. Now, let me deal with these people that say, I ain't trying to prove myself. And then every time you look up, you're online trying to prove yourself. I have learned, because unfortunately, being in church, I've seen so much of, I'm living this way, but I'm saying this thing. So I have learned to study the actions of people. I promise you, before I ever say anything to you, I have watched you already. Unless this is a fresh interaction, before I come in contact with a person, before we interact, I have already watched your patterns. I have already studied your behaviors, things of that nature. Do that mean I know all of who you are? No, that does not mean that. But it's one of those things where I can usually tell if somebody is full of a bunch of fluff. And usually 60% of the people that say that they're not trying to prove themselves are trying to prove themselves. Usually 60% of the people that say that they're not jealous people are jealous people. Usually 60% of the people that say that they are integral are not integral. Meaning, if you have to make an announcement about it, it's probably not your lot. So what am I saying? The people that say that they don't have to prove themselves are usually the ones that's trying to prove themselves. And why are you trying to prove yourself? You're trying to prove yourself because you want people to understand that you are who you say that you are. You're trying to prove yourself because you want people to get this perspective about where you are and how you are through whatever actions you just put out there. Right? So and then another point to know that you have a fixed mindset is you avoid challenges. You don't like for nothing to challenge your mind, your theology. We're not gonna talk about them religious structures. Y'all want nothing to come against your church rules, right? You don't want anything to challenge how you think. You don't entertain anything that requires you to do something different. You have a fixed mindset. You usually find that in about usually the baby boomers. But now I'm realizing it ain't even up there no more. It's going down. You got some 20-year-olds that's stuck in their ways. And it's like, how? Your mind has only been in function, you know what I'm saying, for 20 years. If you get stuck right here, there's so much you're missing out on. But I'm gonna keep going. Another way to know that you have a fixed mindset is you get defensive or give up quickly. You get defensive. Can't nobody say nothing to you. You got it figured out for your life, right? Can't nobody tell you nothing about you. Can't nobody help you improve in no kind of way, because you got it. You got it all figured out, right? That's how you know your mindset is fixed. That's how you know that you don't want to hear nothing else, that you don't want no help. You don't want nobody to address your perspective. You don't want nobody to challenge your perspective. And what you think you got going on in your life and in your mind, right? Another way to know that you have a fixed mindset is you see effort as pointless. You see trying as pointless, meaning, why would I do that? It's just gonna turn out like such and such anyway, right? I'm not gonna go work out. I can't stay consistent anyway. I'm not going try to do this. It ain't gonna work anyhow. That is so fixed. That's so fixed. Why? Because the memory of your unconscious mind is literally telling you that don't do this, because the last time you attempted something like this, it didn't work out. So what's coming out of your mouth? Why? Because your thoughts then create your words, which create your actions. So this thought arises and you created these words, and now the actions is following the words that you just said. Why? Because you allowed a thought. You entertained a thought that wasn't healthy for you. Right? Another way to know that you have a fixed mindset, you reject critical feedback. Are you one of those people that you don't need no feedback? Are you one of those people? Especially, I have a lot of my I'm gonna call y'all wise. My wiser in age people. You don't want to hear nothing, especially from somebody that's younger than you, or you don't want to hear anything from somebody who at one point you had to help. And let's deal with that, right? Let's deal with the fact that it's gonna take a community. It's not going to require a big community, but it's going to take a community to get you to your place of prospering internally and externally. It's going to take God placing some wise voices in your life. It's going to take, God sending some people that can sit you down and give you some rebuke. Rebuke is good for the soul. This is something I had to learn, but it's good for the soul. Why? Because it grows you. Unless you got a fixed mindset, right? Another way to know is you feel threatened by other success. This is huge. That's jealousy, by the way. That's jealousy. If you feel threatened by somebody else's success, one, you will never be able to sit at the table with this person. Why? Because they intimidate you. Two, you know what I'm saying? You will never be able to come to your fullest potential of who you are. Why? Because there is something within you that has this limiting wall. The reason we are jealous of somebody is because they went past this wall of which we accept. So say, for instance, you know what I'm saying? I got a high school diploma. And anybody with a degree is outside of my scope. It's outside of the capacity in which I have the ability to accept. Why? Because I've allowed my experiences when I flunked out of college. I've allowed my experiences when I didn't have the best college experience, or I allowed, what I experienced then to carry on with me now. So now when I'm sitting in a room full of people who are fully educated, who are here to run with my vision, I'm now intimidated by the people who can help me because I ain't dealt with my thoughts. Right? And that is the last one. And the result of all of this is you can never learn or develop to your full potential with a fixed mindset. All of the limitations that you're trying to break through, all of the boundaries, the generational curses, all of that stuff that we're trying to thrive through and conquer, embarking upon something new, and conquering something new, thriving through something that we've never done, blazing trails. None of that can happen with a fixed mindset. So I don't know who I'm talking to you. I don't know who I'm talking to. Somebody desires to change. Somebody desires to do something different, be something, become something different, embody something different, right? Because we're not becoming. We're literally just taking off layers of who we were originally, right? We're just taking off layers so that we can become the original person. You're not becoming anything. I don't know. Stop saying that. You're not becoming anything. You're just taking off layers, getting back to the original intent of who God called you to be. You don't have to become nothing. Just be. But you literally don't have the potential to do that without limitations when you have a fixed mindset. When your mind is fixed on, this is how we're going to think. When your mind is fixed on, the way that you process, and you don't open yourself up to another perspective, you will be just stuck. Right? All right, so ways to know that you have a growth mindset. You focus on learning and growing. You focus on learning and growing. I promise I'm almost done. I promise, I promise, I promise. The ways to know that you have a growth mindset. Number one, you focus on learning and growing. You focus on learning and growing. Number two, you welcome and accept challenges. You welcome and accept challenges. Meaning, because you understand, when you have a growth mindset, you understand that challenges is one of God's methods that he uses to grow us, right? It's one of the ways, it's one of them, and it's only it's for the mature people, because you know, so often I talk to a lot of people that don't want the challenges that comes. Well, life has its own challenges, right? Why not have a good perspective on the challenges that you got to encounter? Because you got to encounter them. And when having the right perspective about your challenges lets you know that I am in this thing because there is some level of growth in some area of my life that needs to take place. When you understand that all of your challenges are just set up to grow you, it allows you to embrace them. Not embrace them to stay in them, but embrace them so that you can get out of it what you need to get out of it so you can move on to the next thing. So when you have a growth mindset, you welcome challenges because you know this is taking me to another level. This is showing me a new level of what I have access to in my capacity. I don't want to ever get to my fullest capacity, if that makes sense. Not saying I don't want to be full, but I want to always be at a place where my capacity expands. I want to always be at a place with what I have to offer grows. And you know, and it has the ability to edify, and it has the ability to send life, and it has the ability to help others expand and grow. But I can't do that if I don't do it first. Like, I can't help nobody else do it if I don't do it first. Right? Number three, the way you know you have a growth mindset, you persist in the face of obstacles. You persist in the face of obstacles. Same thing, challenges, obstacles. You don't back down from them. You don't, whoa, it's me the whole time you're in. And I get it, the initial shock, you know, of an obstacle, you'd be like, all right, God, did it have to be? Did you have to do it like this? I get it. I absolutely get that. I understand having that conversation with God, like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. All right, you chose to choose this. I get them conversations. But when you decide to sit in that, whoa, it's me, when you decide to sit in that, why God, why I got to be isolated? Why I got to do this by myself? Why? Well, why? When we get stuck there, we begin to miss what's taking place. If you get stuck on why, you're going to miss what? Right? If I get stuck on why God got me in something, I'm going to be on the other side of it and still had not learned what I was supposed to learn. And what does that mean? I have to go through it again. May not go through it with the same person, may not go through it in the same situation, but what God wanted me to learn, the scenario is going to come up again. Right? So the way that you know that you have a growth mindset is when you persist in obstacles. You understand this is hard. This is not easy. This is not the easiest thing that I've done, but I understand this ain't gonna kill me. This ain't gonna take me out, so I ain't gonna complain about it, right? I may have them people where I talk to, I vent a little bit, get it off of me. But when it's all said and done, I'm not gonna sit and rock in it and woe in it and all of those things. We ain't doing it, right? All right, another way to know that you have a growth mindset is you see effort as a key to success, right? You try. Even if you're not sure if it won't work, you try. At least you try. At least you put you allow your actions to meet your belief and come together with some form of expectation. And even if it does not yield what it is you desire, at least you tried. At least you tried. You put yourself in a position to be navigated to something more. You put yourself in a position to be guided and led when you are open to those things. Let's see the next one. You learn from other success. This is something that I learned from other success and failures. Excuse me. I learned from other success and failures. Meaning, I can see you go through something. I ain't got to go through it. Once I see you do it, and I see it didn't come out favorable for you, unless God tell me that I need to do it, I probably ain't gonna do it. I'm really good at learning from other people's situations and circumstances. You ain't gotta listen. I see your head bust open when you jumped off that building. Cool. I'm gonna go down the steps. I ain't jumping off the building, right? I'm just gonna go down the steps. And when you understand and you have these, when you embody these attributes and things of that nature, you will continue to reach new levels of achievement. That's internally and externally, right? So all of this that we just went through is literally how to manage your mind. Now I do want to, I have a couple scriptures, just a couple scriptures that I just kind of want to just talk through, because I think connecting this with scripture will kind of help us understand how we have to get control of our mind. Now the Bible don't say, it probably does. Y'all help me out. Y'all know I'm not a Bible thumper like that. But I don't think the Bible say, learn to manage your mindset. I don't think it say it like that. But it does say in Philippians 4:8, it says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. Okay, all right, cool. If anything is excellent, okay, or praiseworthy, these are 8 things. Think on these things, right? So if it's true, if it's honorable, if it's right, if it's pure, if it's lovely, if it's something to be admired, if it's excellent, if it's praiseworthy, put your thoughts in that direction. How to be intentional with your thoughts. Put your thoughts in the direction of something that is true. Now, when I say truth, I'm not talking about facts. I'm talking about the truth of God. Don't put your minds on facts. Don't put your mind on that diagnosis. That's a fact. That's not the truth. That's a fact, right? Meditate on truth. The truth is you are the righteousness of God. The truth is there is not a creature on the face of the earth like you. The truth is you literally embody everything that you need in order to execute this season of your life. The truth is you lack nothing, right? The truth is you literally have everything that you need. The truth is you are fearfully and wonderfully made. The truth is you are embodied and empowered with everything that you need to dominate this life. The truth is there is purpose on you. The truth is you have more. There is more on the inside of you. The truth is all of what you know about yourself is not all of you. These are things that are true. Now, everything that I just said, if my unconscious mind began to conjugate thoughts based off of what I just said, can you imagine what's going to pop up in my head? Because I put the kind of words out there, right? I put the kind of declaration out there that's going to allow my mind to find something. Now, even if it doesn't have anything in a memory bank, it's one of those things where I know that if something arises that does not match what I said, I know that I can cast that down. Why? Because it didn't align with the declaration. Why study scripture? Because scripture will help you understand how to manage your mind. It shows you what to meditate on. It shows you what to think on. So that you can, for those that sit idle, it shows you where to put your energy. For those that don't quite know what to do with yourself right now, it shows you where to put your energy. Psalms 56 and 3, I think this is. It says, when I'm afraid. All right. So when I'm afraid, insecure, hesitant, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. So this shows that when you're afraid, insecure, or hesitant, it shows that in this time, you have to trust God. So you try to figure out what does trusting God means. Go look up the definition of trust. What is the definition of trust? I think the definition, I can totally make this up, but let's see. The definition of trust: a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of something or someone. So if scripture is telling me that I need to trust God when I'm afraid. It's saying that when I'm afraid, rely on the truth, God's ability, and God's strength, right? What am I saying? I'm just giving you scripture that will help you target your mind, help you put your mind in place when you aren't experiencing different things, right? When you're sitting idle, Philippians 4:8 tell us what to do when you're sitting idle. When you find yourself afraid, Psalms 56 tell us what to do when we're afraid. It says to rely. Don't even rely on yourself when you're scared. Don't rely on yourself when you're feeling insecure. It says to put all of your ability, put every belief that you have in the truth of God when you're afraid. Meaning that I may be afraid to sit in front of you, but the truth of God says that I have the ability to do what it is that I'm doing. So I'm going to go with truth. I'm going to sit in truth. I'm just showing you how scripture works with your mind, right? I'm just showing you how it works with your mind. Psalms 112:7 says he will have no fear of bad news. His heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord. So here we go. When I get a diagnosis, when I get information about anything that just does not sit well with me, it says that his heart is steadfast. So in this I will go research steadfast and figure out, God, how to make, what does it mean to have a steadfast heart? But not only that, it says it has a steadfast heart, trusting in the Lord. There go that word again. So when you get a diagnosis, or when you get any kind of bad news, it says to figure out, one, how to have a steadfast heart, how to be grounded in God, and two, rely. There go that trust word again. Rely on truth. Rely on truth. Now, when you meditate on stuff like this, with the challenges that come with life, your unconscious mind is going to deliver the kind of thoughts that need to be delivered in order for you to conquer, in order for you to thrive through this. If you choose to meditate on what would edify you, if you choose to take in what will build up you, right? What can sit in your subconscious mind that you don't mind coming forth. That's why scriptures say meditate on the word. It says to meditate so that when your mind is doing what it want to do, it's remembering what God said about you. Your unconscious mind is remembering what the declarations that God spoke over your life. Right? One more, just one more. It talks about anxiety. When anxiety is great within me, your consolation, So when you got anxiety, your consolation brought joy to my soul. So when you notice that you are experiencing anxiety, now I'm not talking about being anxious, and I had to do research on that yesterday. Having anxiety and being anxious is two different things, right? That's something completely different. But when you're dealing with anxiety is, that thing that, that you don't have control over it when things are going haywire. Anxious is all, that's 100% you. Anxiety is almost, it seems like you quite don't have control over it. But what God is saying here, it says when anxiety is great, or what scripture is saying here, it says when anxiety is great within me, your consolation brought me joy. So that means I have to ask God to console me, right? Figure out how to make this thing work for you. So anxiety shows when anxiety comes up, when somebody's dealing with anxiety, they literally don't have the ability to slow down the thoughts that's going on inside of their head. They don't have the ability to get a grasp on what's happening around them because they're literally trying to focus on breathing. And what God is saying in that moment, ask me to console you. Ask me. Because it says here in Psalms 94:19, when anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy. Right? So that means when anxiety tries to sit on me, God consoled me. God, I'm just trying to show you how to allow your mindset to work with scripture. And that's really all I have. I definitely, we have to get an understanding because the enemy is not playing fair. And this is one of the reasons I did this broadcast. The enemy is not playing fair in this season. The enemy is not playing. It's one of those things you can have all of yourself together, but he's coming for your mind. The enemy comes for your sanity first. If he can sit in on your mind and lie to you about what God says about you, it can keep you stuck and keep you stagnant. And this is what I know the enemy is doing in this season. He's coming for those people that suppress, for those people that are introverts, for those people that won't talk much. And those people that are pillars in your family, those people that everybody call on you for something. He's in a strategic attack against those particular people, because he understands that people that are like that, they usually have it all together externally, but he slowly but surely tries to break us down internally. And if we're not careful, because we keep suppressing, right? Oh, I got the enemy this time. He ain't taking me down. I'm good this time. But like I said earlier, as we continue to suppress those things, and we'll look up one day and we'll be in a bad situation, trying to figure out who can listen to me, because your mind literally you'll start having voices in your head. Like literally, you start having voices in your head. Because the enemy wants you to lose your mind. I don't know who that's for. The enemy is banking on you losing your mind, because if you unravel, everybody around you will unravel. If you unravel, everything connected to you will unravel. So the enemy is saying, I don't have to go for your husband. I don't have to go for your wife. I don't have to go for your kids. I need to get to you. And if I can get in your mind, it'll make everything that's connected to you to do this as well. And that's one. And once I get that one, I'm gonna have to call my girl. I mean, I'm not gonna call your name out right now, because I'm sure a lot of people know you, but I'm gonna have to make a phone call after this. But it's one of those things you want to make sure that you keep a grip on your mind. Don't allow your unconscious thoughts to just run haywire. Your conscious mind, even though it's only 10% of the operational power in your head, your conscious mind has more power when it's used intentionally. It has to be used intentionally. You cannot just sit around and think because you had a good day that the enemy is going to let you have a good night. You cannot just sit around and think that because this whole week was good, that the next week is going to be good. You have to be intentional. And not only that, the intentionality of the conscious mind, it comes with a perspective. It comes with a great perspective. It comes with a perspective that shows that even though I may naturally not look like I'm winning, I understand that what's happened for me on the backside is catapulting me to something that I can't see right now. So you have the ability to sit in challenges with confidence. You have the ability to sit in challenges and to sit in situations and circumstances, knowing that this is sit to build me up and edify me. And when your mind gets that understanding that what I'm experiencing is coming to grow me, it'll stop trying to opt out of stuff. And for those of us who don't put ourselves around accountability people that holds us accountable, I'm big on being an accountability person for people, because I understand what it's like to literally to be connected to people that it feel like they don't care. If that makes sense. It feel like y'all see me spiraling. Y'all create a space for me to even cry. But you don't hold me accountable. You won't position yourself to help me hold myself accountable. So I don't be back in this place. So it's one of those things. Some of us, we gotta check who we connected to. Are the people that you connected to? Are they okay with you being in the place that you're in? Are they okay with you having the mindset that you have? Are they okay with you being stuck in limitation? And been stuck in curses and addictions and things that you're doing in your private time. I'm not one of them friends. I'm just not one of them friends that's okay with people connected to me failing, whether that's internally or externally. I'm just not one of those, whether that means, I just can send up a prayer, but I'm just not one of the people who can be divinely connected to someone and see that they're spiraling and not have a calibrating conversation. I'm also not going to be connected to anybody who does not want to have a calibrating conversation when they know that they're going haywire. Why? Because you become a hindrance to every environment that you're in when you choose not to deal with your mind. You become a hindrance. Eventually, you become a hindrance to the environments you enter or to the people that you connect with when you choose not to deal with your mindset. I can guarantee you can ask anybody that's willing to be honest. Whenever they went into a new room, they had to put their mind in check because everything in them was telling you ain't supposed to be here unless they did the work. There is nobody that did not do the work that automatically showed up every day and had it. It requires you to be intentional. It requires you to put them thoughts. Now, hear me. Because your unconscious mind, I'm breathing, Jeff, because your unconscious mind is 90% of the operation. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's memory. It does not know right from wrong. So there will be times where your mind tries where out of all of the many thoughts, I think it's like a billion thoughts we think a minute. I could be wrong, but I think it's something like that. But out of all of those thoughts that come up in your head, not all of them are bad, but you will highlight the ones that's not very beneficial for you if you're not careful. That's what happens when we're not intentionally using our conscious mind. I can sit here and if I choose to just not think, right? If I choose to not think of nothing, my mind would immediately go to something that is familiar with that's probably not going to benefit or edify me. And if I choose to allow it to grow and fester in my mind, Apostle can walk in the room right now and I'll look at her like she's the enemy because I've been thinking of I've allowed these thoughts to sit. And now my response to her, my reactions to her is coming from this remembered place of rejection because now I'm anticipating that she gonna do to me what my memory is telling me has already happened because I'm not taking control over my thoughts. So be sure, I'm done, everybody. Be sure that you get control over your mind. Learn how to manage your mindset. It is okay to disconnect from people who are thinking low. It is okay to disconnect from people who do not encourage your growth. It is okay to disconnect from people who keeps your mind in an unhealthy place. It is okay to disconnect from people who wants you to stay stuck and stagnant because they refuse to grow. I know all of us has been connected to at least one person who was pissed at us growing. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I literally lost every friend but one when I moved from Texas to North Carolina. Every last friend but one. Why? Because they did not agree with where God was taking me. They did not agree with the next move. Now, whether it had anything to do with my move or not, what the fact that the disconnect happened showed me that they had an issue with where I was headed. Right? Pay attention to the signs. And don't try to hold on to nobody that God don't want in your life. Don't try to hold on to nobody that does not edify you. Your life is about you. Your life is about your life. You know, the life that you live is about making sure that you can become the best you, which means you have the responsibility of making sure that you are in environments that edifies you or that you can edify, right? So I'm going to give a quick moment to, if anybody have any questions, because I've been on here for an hour, 23 minutes. And I hope you guys were blessed. This has literally been a study that I have been doing this study. Literally everything that I've said either came from something that I've studied or something the Holy Spirit gave me. And I've been doing this study on my own. I built this document literally so that I can study it on my own because my biggest challenge has always been my mind. My biggest challenge has always been how I thought about me. And then I realized I'm not my thoughts. I'm just the person that experienced my thoughts. So even though these thoughts may come up and they're destructive, and these thoughts may come up and, you know, they are bad. I mean, they tear down. I mean, I murdered some folk in thoughts and everything. I did some of everything in my thoughts. And I'm like, God, I am such a terrible person. How could I think this? And then I realized, oh, no. That's not me thinking it. That's just me experiencing the thought. So because this is not mine, I don't have to entertain it. Because this is not mine, I don't have to let it sit back there. because it's not mine. I literally can differentiate through the other billion of thoughts that's in my head and get to at least one that's going to help edify me and build me up. But that all requires intentionality. There is no way to be sane in the mind without being intentional. You have to be intentional about your mind and renewing your mind. Yes, this is true, Jeff. This is Jeff. Jeff was my boss. Jeff was my boss when I left Texas. I actually had to go sit in his office and tell him that I am moving to North Carolina to go be a full-time ministry. And he gave me the biggest blessing of all to go to North Carolina, and such the encouragement. And he even gave me my last day off work of my 2-week notice. So shout out to Jeff. That's Jeff. I love you so much, Jeff. You know you always got a special place in my heart. But yes, we have to learn how to manage our mindset. When does the book come out? Well, Mom, I don't know. I don't know. Pray about it. But yes, I don't know, Mom. Pray about it. I'm not finna put myself out here with nothing else. I'm not putting myself out here. Look, Jeff, everybody's speaking to you. Look at that. Everybody's speaking to you. All right. I love you guys so much. Thank you for sitting here listening to what the Lord had me to deliver for today. I pray everybody have a wonderful weekend. I ain't good with announcements. We got Tuesday coming back up. Bow. See y'all Tuesday. I love you guys so much. I pray you all have an amazing day. Hit me up if you need me, and I'm about to make a phone call. You'll know who I am when I call you. Talk to y'all soon. Later.